What is going on, all of you mortgage maniacs out there? I'm Thomas Meister, the loan officer's agent. This week, we have a number of IMB mortgage companies that are on the losers list. And actually, I'm surprised that the gainers in the IMB side this week, the numbers aren't as strong. I'm excited to look at it with you, dive into it. We're going to speculate a little bit, and we're going to discern what is happening and why people might be choosing some companies over the others. So right here, we have the weekly report that I generate. I use a tool called Redder to generate this report. Let me zoom in a little bit here for you. And essentially, we're looking at the different banks, brokers, IMBs, different channels, right, for mortgage companies. I did actually this week start using two other criteria: 100 units, 50 million in volume, and you have to have been on the last week's report, right, because it messes up the data. If this is your first time watching this series, then welcome, right? I hope that you gained something from it. But if you've been following, then in the past, we're every single week trying to make this more and more pretty. So we have the IMBs, we have the brokers for this week, our gainers, and then we have our banks. Now on the bottom, right? I'm going to save that. I'm going to have to tease you a little bit. We'll get there. We're going to look at the losers. And again, stick through to the end because there's some big losers in the IMB space and some big industry news actually as well. So let's get started with our first mortgage company gainer for this week. Number one, in terms of loan officers gain. Now remember, just because you gain the most loan officers doesn't mean that translates to production. So I'm excited to see. Well, this is the past year. And this is one of the beautiful things about Redder. You can't do this with some other tools. This is actually recently looked at another tool. I'm not going to throw shade. It's one of the things I believe in, especially in the representation world of talking about companies. It's not necessary to talk about other platforms or competitors, etc. So in the last week, net gain of 13 loan originators, right? Oh, so that's slightly off. This says 12. But net gain of 13 loan originators for $36.6 million of annualized production. That's good, right? I guess we've established some criteria by doing this slowly. We have flat, right? Or bad, or really bad. Then we have okay, then we have good, and then we have really good. So we also track the number of $10 million producers that are moving, right? Because that's a good barometer of how well a company is doing to attract top talent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to give them this one just because sometimes data is missing. So 8 $10 million plus producers coming to CrossCountry Mortgage. We can see a little bit of a theme. I see 2 New American people, but I don't see, these people's licenses were previously inactive. So we're going to dive into one of them just to show you. Builder. Okay, so this person also doing a lot of builder business. Now, maybe this is their account, but you got to be careful because sometimes this is not likely to repeat, right? Look at these spikes of volume as well. Sorry, I'm not trying to pick on anybody. So sorry about this, Ryan, if you ever see this. Okay. But look, he doesn't have a ton of loyal realtors. It's mostly purchase business, purchase builder business, right? But if you scroll down here, we can see that there was a gap in his licensing. Yeah. So from 226, he was with, I've never seen that company before. I've seen that name before, but I've never tracked or looked at that company. So there's a gap between his license going inactive and then active with the new company. So that is where we get this new or previously inactive. Doesn't mean that they're necessarily new. So again, 8 coming in and losing 26, losing a big producer. So we don't know where this person is landing because if their license is inactive currently, then they're on their way probably to their new destination. So losing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, also losing 8 $10 million plus producers, but coming out ahead, I guess, in production. But if that builder business is repeating or not, then that would actually affect whether or not this is a flat week or okay week for CrossCountry Mortgage. So coming in at number 2, we actually have somebody new coming in at number 2. And so congratulations. They are sub $1 billion, so they are a smaller mortgage company, Radius Financial Group. And let's pull them up because I haven't actually seen them before. So I'm excited. But let's make sure that they're actually an IMB lender, right? Like a purchase-based IMB lender, right? So if we look at them, let's actually, since they're new, we're going to do something quick and look at their last year. Hey, that's actually pretty good. So how long have they been around? Like, can we see that? If we drive back here, let's look at office roster joined, right? If we sort by joined, we can see new people coming in. But then, okay, so they've been around since 1999, right? This company is not, it's probably only, and a lot of people could have left, right? This is just the active roster, right? So in the last week, making a splash, gaining 12 loan originators, so net gain of 12, nobody leaving for close to $100 million of annualized production. So good job, Radius. And taken a huge group of people from Philadelphia Mortgage Advisors. So we're going to open them real quick because we're going to dive into the rabbit hole. By the way, again, if you're interested and you like this data, you like this layout, in the description is a link to Redder. You can use that to check it out. And if you want to get access, you can. You have to be in the mortgage industry and have an NMLS to get it. So let's see. Past week, I mean, how big is this company? I'm just curious if they bought it. Like, no, okay. So this company has probably also been around for a while, but oh wait, is that their total office roster? That can't be all their people, unless it is, right? Like, show, that's a branch. Got it. Show full company profile. Yeah, there's only 2 LOs here now. So this was a smaller company, and now there's only 2 people here. So they probably merged or got bought by Radius. And interesting. So good week. I mean, they're doing purchase-based business, right? If I were to pull up some of their top producers, let's see if they're refi or if they're purchase-based. So they are purchase-based and they are doing existing homes, right? So new builds. He's got realtor relationships. Let's see if Robert does as well. Oh, he has his profile picture here, meaning he has a Redder account. Good job, Robert. And then let's look at Angela. Yeah, same thing with Angela, right? So this is Radius is a real, I should say, IMB based mortgage lending company, and they're based out of Massachusetts, right? So Norwell, Massachusetts. So good job there. Coming in at number 3, and we do have some honorable mentions. We're not going to dive into them, but it's always worth just highlighting people that are actually coming on the report on a weekly. Well, if they haven't been here before, but if there's a unique change, then I think that that's worth highlighting, right? Because we want to. It's not just about showing the top companies. It's about real growth, not adding loan officer count, but sustained production. I'm actually going to be updating this report to show kind of like year to date and quarterly trends because we have enough data now to do that. So let's look at New American Funding. Okay, net gain. So they're the biggest gainer so far this week, right? Net gain of 10 loan originators and $145 million of annualized production. Let's have a look at who's coming in. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 $10 million plus producers. Okay, that's interesting. I'm not going to click on it, but again, like if they're coming from Lakeview Loan Servicing, then they're probably, this is not like purchase-based business, and there's 2 of them. Kind Lending, that might be a wholesaler person. I don't know. I mean, Kind actually does have a retail presence. Okay. Probably, it's still good, right? But is it as good as one might think? Maybe, maybe not. So honorable mentions, we are going to actually pull up All Western. I don't think we've actually pulled them up in a while or ever. And then the other honorable mentions, right? Because All Western I've mentioned this in the past, they're kind of flying under the radar. They usually hang out in like the top 20, sometimes top 10, but they've actually been adding a lot of loan originators. So we're going to have a quick peek at them this week just to see, and we are going to play with the numbers briefly because, again, we want to spotlight people who are doing a good job because there's a reason that they're maybe doing a good job. So in the last week, net gain of 9 loan originators, not losing anyone, $36 million of annualized production. Oops, let's start by looking at the 9. So we're going to see 2 $10 million plus producers. Howard Hanna, that's owned by Howard Hanna, the real estate company. So, is that business likely? Oh, and then another one came from there too. So, okay. I mean, and then 2 from United Fidelity. So kind of getting 2 people, but neither of those are $10 million plus producers. Okay. And so let's quickly take a peek here. Let's look at their last month. They're up 120 million. It's kind of like an index in like the stock market. If you think about it, it's really cool. And then the past quarter, they're up $188 million in the last quarter. 6 months, 212. And then last year, almost $500 million. That's actually pretty good. And it's not always, just like the stock market, it's not always that we see that where a company is, on a weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual basis doing good things because you have bad months and weeks. And again, All Western is a, medium, low, they're not big, they're not small, they're in the medium, and they're kind of toward maybe the bottom end of medium. You can see right here that they rank 84 in total production. So good job, good week for All Western Mortgage, adding some great production. But now let's head over to brokers. And we're going to have to get through some of this data a little bit faster as well, just because we want to get to the losers. The losers are going to be exciting for this week. brokers actually having a better week than IMBs, which is interesting, right? So you have 29 people joining the Loan Factory, but let's see if that translates to production, because again, bodies don't mean production, but in this case it does. So great job, Loan Factory, adding net gain of 29 loan originators for $73 million annualized production. And where did they come from though? Okay. So only two $10 million plus producers. So adding a lot of licenses, right? A lot of people, which is kind of the MO of a lot of these mortgage brokers, right? So, okay, cool there. And then and they didn't lose any $10 million plus producers, right? So if you look at it that way, then they actually gained 2 $10 million plus producers. So this is a good, right? It's better than okay. It's good. I'd say this is a good week for Loan Factory. Coming in at number 3, gaining 12 loan originators is West Capital Lending. Very routinely here on the top. Remember, they do a lot of I have friends there, so a lot of people there are buying leads, doing different type of business, right? Home equity lines of credit, refinances. So great week for West Capital Lending, adding 12 loan originators for $170 million of annualized production. So gain of 32. Oh, okay. And so we have some big people coming from loanDepot. And if I clicked on some of these, I wonder if some of these people, let's look on one. Okay. And then that Joseph Villa, that name looks familiar. I don't know if I know him, but let's look at where he was. Rocket. So coming from Rocket and then coming from also Rocket. Okay. So picking up people from Rocket, that makes me think that, and I've seen that before from West Capital Lending. So it makes me think that there is a push by West Capital Lending to, on the lead side, get more people out of Rocket who want to do leads, and they do leads well. So they're taking those people and plugging them into what they do. So, but a good week for West Capital Lending. Again, some of those people being lead based, and not necessarily, because this report is mostly focused on this series, the purchase based, referral based retail loan originators working with consumers, right? Working with, referral based business. But hey, there's multiple ways to win in this business. So who am I to judge? Just my opinion, right? Okay. And then Nexa coming in at number 3, gaining net gain of 10 loan originators over the last week. And let's see how that translates. I think we're keeping our theme this week of the gainers are all gaining. So we haven't found somebody who's broken the trend of you gain loan officers, then you gain production yet, right? So knock on wood. So we've got Nexa net gain of 10 loan originators for, it's okay, right? It's approaching flat. Like 13 million is not nothing, right? But when you are gaining 39 and losing 29, right? 2 $10 million plus producers, and one went back. Or sorry, these are the gained, right? Gained. So gaining one from CrossCountry, Cleveland Lending Group, Mutual of Omaha. And again, we're kind of tracking the $10 million plus producers, but let's see who they lost. No $10 million plus producers, okay? So, all right, good job, Nexa, for, there's probably bigger winners, but again, if you want to dive into the data, if you want access to this report, go ahead and comment the word report, and I will reach out to you just to make sure that I can get you access to this full report. And then if you want access to Redder, you're going to have to get an account, but you can dive into some of this, because I guarantee you some of these companies down here who are adding just a couple of people, because remember, this is the net gain. So, and you can see the currents, and I probably should add the previous. Is it right there? Can I just drop that back in? I'll have to make that easier in the next report. There's the previous, right? So you can see, again, that's just the net, right? So it's very possible that some of these companies, Barrett could have had a huge swing of 40 people joining, but 42 people joining, but 40 people leaving. So it only says 2, right? So it's very possible. And here, we'll test my theory really quickly. It's not a theory, it's reality, but I'm just showing you. If you come here over the last week, okay. 13-11, net gain of 2, but loss of $40 million of annual production. Not a good week for Barrett Financial. They'll probably end up being one of the biggest losers this week for brokers. So I think it would be helpful to make sure that I create, and maybe I could do some automation around what are the bigger companies, and then exactly seeing their week over week changes right here. That'd be cool. But let's move on. So honorable mentions, just going to show them because this is, Primerica. They're also routinely kind of closer to the top, but they are smaller in technically size, although they have a lot of loan officers, right? I don't know if that's necessarily true. Is that production accurate? We're going to sidebar rabbit hole for a quick second. Yeah, it is true. Why do they have so many people, but they don't have a lot of production? They're down well, they're flat over the last year. Interesting. Prime America is usually always toward the top, but I guess that they're adding people, but it's not translating necessarily to added production. One Real Mortgage is definitely on the smaller side, but a gain of six loan officers. United American Mortgage, actually no number of people there. So they are on the larger side of brokers, right? They're easily, I don't know if they're top 10, but they're definitely top 15 or 20, right? And actually you can see right here, they're number 19 in terms of total volume. And so net gain of 4, and then coast to coast, they're 1.3 billion, adding 4, and then United Lending, 1.5 billion, adding net gain of 4 loan originators, and they're all, in the top 25. Actually, I didn't highlight Edge, but Edge is, they're big. We're trying to share some love with the smaller people, So, okay. Now let's head over to banks, okay? Not going to spend a lot of time here just because it is not entirely, remember, like if you've been in the series, you understand this, but for anybody who's new, banks, they just do a lot of bank business, right? The loan officers there, they're not out there hunting for business, right? A lot of them, and I have friends there who are entirely referral based, right? Like they work at those companies, they live and die by those companies. So no shade, no throwing any shade, but a lot of the loan officers at these companies, they're just doing business that's handed to them. This is not their business, right? So we don't really count that. But I did notice, okay, so we're going to be looking at Luminates, because they are basically they're a bank that operates like an IMB, right? So they're almost like an independent mortgage bank first, but they're in the the benefit of Luminate Bank, if you don't know, is that they're federally chartered bank, right? So for loan originators that want to be licensed in, I think 49 states, maybe there are all 50 now. New York is the state a lot of people don't want to be in, or it's hard. It's really hard to get there. That you can be that. You can instantly be licensed, and you're not you're regulated by a different body, and so you can instantly have your license in all these states and do business in California to Florida if you wanted, right? So good week for Luminate. Net gain of 4 loan originators for $68 million of annual production. Let's see who the 6 are coming in. Okay, that's the reason. Big pickup from Synergy One. And I'd bet you that these people, well, maybe they're not, but they likely could be, right? So a group from Synergy One coming to Luminate Bank, probably attracted to that platform, right? Let's quickly just look at the last quarter, right? Net loss of 2 originators, but gain of 145 million over the last year, adding 117 loan officers, net loss of gain of approaching $2 billion, $1.76 billion. So great week for Luminate Bank. I don't think that there's any other banks. Cornerstone, sure, we'll check them out really quickly because they are also mostly exactly like Luminate Bank. They're focused on so a good week, or okay week. Okay, good week for them. Net gain of only 2, but as we see here, it's probably a good producer, so one good producer coming from a bank, from People's Bank, and losing probably no. Exactly. So now we're going to transition over to losers, okay? And this is where it gets fun, but we're not here to throw shade, guys. Again, this is the facts. This is the data, right? So I think it's Cadence Bank. If you remember, Cadence Bank got bought recently by Huntington Bank, right? That's why Huntington Bank actually is top on this list. Or sorry, by Fifth Third. They got bought by Fifth Third Bank, right? They're gaining 246 LOs. Duh. That's because they bought these guys over here. So buying Cadence Bank, Comerica Bank, I don't necessarily see any other really exciting changes here. Prime Lending, sure. Let's look at them as potentially loser this week, but I mean, it's only 2 loan officers, so probably not going to affect things all that much. Yeah, I mean, it's arguably flat or not a good week for Prime Lending, right? Probably picking up like only a smaller LO and losing, one $10 million plus producer going to guaranteed rate. Okay, so now we're going to head over to the losers on the broker side. So this could be fun, but again, we're not throwing shade. The data is the data. Don't be mad. So let's see, Expert Home Lending, they're number 8 in terms of volume. So that's a bad week for Expert Home Loans, but we're going to check them out and dive into it. Elevate Mortgage, don't know you. We're kind of got to look at the bigger ones. So Clear Mortgage Capital, they're a loser, but only 3 people. And then the next biggest company is eMortgage Capital, losing 2 people. So we're going to check out these 3 companies. Let's get started. So starting with Expert Home Lending, net loss of 22 loan originators so not a good week for Expert Home Lending. not gaining anybody, but losing a lot of people. So wondering if there's a trend there. I'm wondering if all those people kind of move together. So gaining one $10 million plus producer from Union Home Mortgage and losing a huge producer. So that's the reason, right? Is they're losing one much bigger producer. And interesting, right? Person going back into the IMB, Independent Mortgage Banker channel, the loanDepot. So not a good week for expert home lending. The other one was Clear Mortgage Capital. I don't think maybe I know somebody there, but I know that name. That name I see all the time. Not a good week, right? For Clear Mortgage Capital. Net loss of 3, only one $10 million plus producer leaving. So arguably flat, but not good. eMortgage Capital, we're coming in here to, again, it's only 2, but does it affect anything? Nah, it's pretty flat, right? And you can see why. It's probably because either no producers or equal in match. So none. So it's probably going to be none of them are $10 million plus producers. Call it. So no $10 million plus producers coming in. It's basically a flat week for eMortgage. Now, we're headed to the exciting stuff. We're heading over to IMBs. I know. That's why you watched all the way through to the end, right? Hopefully you didn't jump ahead. So some big changes, swings. We have some honorable mentions, but we only have a few that we're going to dive into. I think the biggest industry news that a lot of people have heard about already, right? If you didn't know, Summit Funding sold to CrossCountry Mortgage. So CrossCountry Mortgage, I've talked to some friends, is definitely probably going to be rebranding Summit Funding. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm told that's what's happening because that's what the owner does a lot of the time. So Summit Funding, there's some history there because I think you have coaching company, the core, and there's some background there. And the 2 owners, I guess, used to also be at Summit, and one of them was at CrossCountry. Now they're both going to be at CrossCountry, right? So Summit Funding selling, but we're going to be looking at 6 people leaving. It might be unrelated, but we're going to look at why they're leaving. Synergy One, these are technically the top 3, right? And Summit Funding is that honorable mention we're going to look at, right? So Vision One Mortgage is much smaller, but they lost 18 loan originators. So we want to look at that. That's 43% of their producers. Same thing over here with Philadelphia Mortgage Advisors. I don't know them, but they're gone, basically, right? And then Mortgage Solutions of Colorado, they've been losing people the entire year. So we're going to be looking at them, not these 2, but we're going to be looking at Mortgage Solutions of Colorado, losing 7, Synergy One losing 7. And they're technically the biggest one other than, they are the biggest one we're going to look at today. Other honorable mentions, technically AmRes losing 6 loan originators. It's 27% of their production. Reliance First Capital losing 6 originators. And Union Home Mortgage, who's pretty big, right? They're number 15, largest IMB lender in the country, losing 6 loan originators. And then Guild Mortgage, number 3, only losing 4. I guess we could take a peek to see how that swings things, but they're technically the biggest on the losers list for this week. And then Benchmark, I saw them there, so I was like, okay, they're bigger, they're top 50, but only 3.3 billion, losing 3. Not even going to click into that, right? So let's get started with Vision One Mortgage. So we can see here that Vision One, which this is a big impact to them. Net loss, okay, but it's not as bad as you'd think. I would have thought 18 originators would have done a lot more to a company like this, but maybe it's them, getting rid of licenses, because if production is slow, that could be one of the things that companies are doing is they're shoring up their number of people there because there are costs to have people, right? So 18 originators, $33 million of production. Let's look at it. Only one, right? And they are bigger, but only one $10 million plus producer leaving Vision One Mortgage. So next we're going to have Mortgage Solutions of Colorado. Again, we're gonna jump backward really quickly and look at a couple, quarter, annual, because I want to see this. So 7 loan originators, $47.5 million annualized production. Not good, bad, pretty bad. Losing 2 $10 million plus producers, but that adds up when you have other, good producers doing units actually. So hey, at least you're doing 2. That's good. You're doing 2-3 loans a month, right? Depends on where you are in the country. That could add up. Genevieve Financial. Maybe there's a trend here, right? These people leaving Mortgage Solutions, but more people leaving again. Well, actually, sorry, we didn't finish. We're going to be looking at the last month, $55 million. Then the last quarter, a lot, right? And we noticed this in the past. There was a huge exodus. We'll click on it really quickly. But Mortgage One, right? A bunch of people had gone to Mortgage One. And then the last year. So in the last year, not as bad, right? Because it's not like it got bigger, 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 bigger. They have added people in the last year but in the last quarter, actually, that being really bad. Like in the last quarter, they have lost a lot more people. So not trending well for Mortgage Solutions of Colorado. And then we're going to be looking at Synergy One. So net loss of 7 loan originators in the last week. And man, they've been gaining a lot of people and losing a lot of people, I feel like. So we'll look at them really quickly too. That's the past quarter. Last week, net loss, of 7 loan originators for half a million. Half $100 million. $54 million annualized production. Not gaining anyone. They've gained a lot of people in recent weeks, but they lost that big producer to Luminate and these other people going to Luminate. So unfortunate, but it happens that you can't always win every single week. So month, they're down on the month. Quarter, it's approaching $1 billion on the quarter. And over the last year, not as bad, right? But still bad. $500 million over the last 12 months. So Synergy One, not trending necessarily in the right direction. When you look at it on a weekly basis, sometimes they can have a good week. But I would say that this is a trend that's not that friendly. Let's look at the last 6 months. So it's only really in the last year that they had picked up the previous 6 months to the other 6 months to the past 6 months. They picked up some production right there to offset having lost some people. So, okay, let's make sure we reset that really quickly. Week. And then I think we have Summit, and then we'll look at Guild, and we'll close things out here. So Summit Funding, again, being acquired by CrossCountry Mortgage. So likely going to be rebranded. And wondering if these 6 people left because they did not want to be a part of CrossCountry. So let's see what happened. Net loss of 6, gaining nobody, losing over $111 million annualized production. Very bad week for Summit Funding. Losing pretty much all bigger producers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 $10 million plus producers gone, right? They're inactive, meaning we don't know where they're landing yet. So they're all just I doubt they were let go, right? Like, let's see, does Summit Funding do leads? I don't know if they did. No, they all have realtors, right? Yeah, they're all referral-based loan originators that said, no, thank you. Or maybe it's just a coincidence, but likely, my thought is it's related to the CrossCountry thing. So let's quickly look at Summit Funding because, again, if they're being acquired, they're going to be rebranding. Over the last month, it's even worse. Last quarter, $200 million, and over the last year, a loss of over $500 million, right? $611 million annualized production. So Summit Funding has not been trending in a very good direction. I'm diving a little bit deeper into that this week because somebody did ask me over the past week, hey, what are the brokers that have been winning recently? And so I think that's actually really important to look at is who are some of the biggest companies, but what are their trends? Like, how are they trending right now? So the last company we're going to look at here as an honorable mention is Guild. It's not a huge swing, but I am curious because it is the biggest loser technically for this week. Over the last year, they've lost, and that's not what we're focusing on, but yes, I left it there so we can see it, approaching $500 million, right? $450 million. But hey, the first person to actually break, right, the trend of if you gained loan officers, you gained production. If you lost originators, you lost production. But no, Guild Mortgage, net loss of 4 originators, but gain of, that's okay, right? Almost $13 million. So they gained, let's see. Oh, they gained a bigger producer. So one $10 million plus producer, a $30 million plus producer. And they had to lost either a number of people or a bigger producer. So losing 2 $10 million plus producers. But of course, picking up more than they lost. So with that said, thank you so much for watching this week's Gainers and Losers video. I would love feedback. I'm not perfect, and I'm a huge advocate that perfect doesn't exist. The pursuit of better is how we should live. I would love feedback from you guys on what I could be doing better on a weekly basis to bring this data to you guys. Again, I'm Thomas Meister, the loan officer's agent. My goal is to make sure that I represent people. I don't think anybody needs to be recruited anymore. That's about convincing people to do something. And we should just be honest with more people. Like people say transparent, but at the end of the day, just do the right thing by people, right? If you do the right thing by you, then you'll help other people and you'll get as much whatever you want, right? In the famous words of Zig Ziglar. Thank you for watching this week's video, and I'll see you in the next one.